The summer fun is over with. Labor Day weekend's passed. It's time to get to work. Although we've been working all the way through the summer. Like this hard chill, this half an hour every week like this is tough. Allie, how are you doing? How's your holiday?
I'm doing great, Tom. I'm doing great. How are you?
Very good. Excellent. So in case anybody has not met Allie yet, Allie comes by popular demand. She has her company called Medical Writing.
Artemis Biomedical Communications.
ABC Medical Writing. Man, how can I forget that? And so Allie does many things, fantastic mother, wife, her husband serves our country in the Navy. He's been in the Navy for over 20 years, working on nuclear ships. Two fantastic sons that are better at push-ups or pull-ups, than their mother.
Yes.
What else? They're a lumberjack. You can do just about anything. Can't you?
I'm not sure about anything. You know what? I was told over the weekend, I am a tremendous bag lady. I was told over the weekend because I have this weird skill of being able to take like clippings and underbrush and pine needles and muck and anything that you need in a huge, garbage bag. I can just bundle that up like nobody's business fast. Oh. So I guess somewhat unskilled labor I'm really good at.
Is that an acquired skill? Did you practice that somehow, like on the farm, or?
I think it is. Maybe you share the same thing, Tom. I mean, just any kind of physical labor that lets you just diffuse stress and overthinking things and just kind of get stuff done. I seem to do well at.
Well, the biggest thing, and I didn't realize how important it was in my life. I think I've told you this until I wrote a book. And what I got from the farm with my father and grandfather in particular, it's just never quitting. They just would always find a way to get it done. Again, it's one of those when you're a kid and you're on the farm, you're going, oh gosh, I can't wait to get off the farm. And now you're older, and I look at anything that I've ever done in my life, it was always that same thing. I was never the best hockey player on any team. I wasn't the smartest agent in the room. I just learned from them to not quit, always find a way to get it done. I watch my sons both, like now they're 31 and 28, and they're exactly the same way. The poor women that they have to live with, we kind of laugh because they're so stubborn, but they just won't quit. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really good thing. My mom is the same way when she's out. Mom, come here real quick.
Mom's here.
I'll introduce you to Mom. We were just talking about gardening work and things.
Hi. You're a fantastic daughter there.
No, so mom never quits. We have to tell Mom, we have to beg her, and Richard too, my stepdad, please, it's really hot. It's time to stop. Maybe take a day off, maybe take an hour off. And so finally what I got them to do is maybe have a beer around my fire pit around, 4 or 5 o'clock while I do my bag lady thing. And so they're having a beer and finally relaxing while I go bananas on their green waste. Nice.
Excellent. That's excellent.
It's good for everybody.
Yeah, definitely. All right, I don't want to spend all our time on the pandemic, but the numbers, the Delta variant. I read something. I thought it was a USA Today comparing this time to last year at this time. Again, that wasn't in the height of the pandemic, but the cases are up, the death rates are up compared to that. But again, it's not comparable to the height of the pandemic, but it's interesting.
Yeah, I guess we could just summarize really briefly. We think that Delta is at least twice as infectious, so we're going to see more cases and quicker spread than maybe we did last year. But compared to last year, we also have vaccinations keeping the death rate down, meaning, of all of those people who are infected, what proportion are going to the hospital and unfortunately expiring. That is down compared to where we were last year, but we see many more people in our denominator getting infected, including kids, because they're not eligible for vaccination yet. So Delta is throwing us a lot of immunity, and really what experts are thinking is immunity is coming our way one way or another. It's either through vaccination or through exposure to this coronavirus. So what's in it for, I was just kind of, thinking about what's in it for the younger man, the 30-something, 40-something man. And interestingly, we do have some data out of the UK again in the Lancet that I was looking at this morning. So with a coffee, my wake up routine is read papers. So let me see if I can just share something that kind of struck me for the median age 30-year-old male in this study. It was really just looking at, so Alpha is the one that went through kind of in the winter, and then Delta is the one that started to go through the UK 7 weeks before it came our way, and Delta is the big talk right now, right? So it's the predominant variant. And so compared to Alpha, it does look like for adults, more people are going into the emergency department and into the hospital. So it's 4.2% of those cases who are infected with Alpha versus 5.7% with Delta. So 4.2% versus 5.7%. And what struck me is that's not really an insignificant, trivial number of people who are like, oh my goodness, I feel like my health is maybe going sideways. What's happening? So somewhere close to 6% of people are having to go get some care. That also means 94% of people aren't seeking care. It could be some of them don't have access to care, but in the UK, access to care is pretty good. It may be that the UK has slightly better or slightly different risk factors than we do. They do have, as I mentioned, good access to care. It could be, we're seeing possibly different scenarios here in the US based on poverty and health risk factors. So it's hard for me to take those stats and place them on the US because we might be a little different. But what really got me thinking about this was watching a football game. And, some tweet went viral over the weekend about the Virginia Tech game and the Hokies and their to-capacity crowd, 68,000 estimated in the stands. And, there were some people on Twitter going, "Oh my God, I can't believe this. All I can feel is impending dread and doom, seeing all these people at a stadium unmasked and getting excited." And, to be honest with you, the place where my brain was last week was thinking about college students going back to campus. They're all fully vaccinated. And I think I might have mentioned this to you last week, my frustration with, they're having some restrictions placed on them again, some more testing, some colleges saying you might have to go back to remote, where you might have to restrict you from the dining hall. You might have to wear masks outside. Maybe you can only do takeout. You can't go to a restaurant. They're 95% fully vaccinated young people, right? So that was frustrating to me that, some of these campuses were really clamping down on restrictions again. So that's where my headspace was when I looked at this Hokies game and, the Enter Sandman came on and everybody's excited, they're just really enjoying life again. And then this tweet comes out, I'm like, really, is that an appropriate response to this? So I responded that these kids are 95% vaccinated and their risk of hospitalization is 0.19 per 100,000. The stands only hold 68,000. So I was thinking about the students. Of course, there are other people in the stands. They're not students, maybe not fully vaccinated, but still. Yeah. I mean, if you run the numbers, and again, this is population-based, that's what an epidemiologist does. So population-based data is different than an individual, talking to an individual with a particular health risk, but you'd have to have, 8 or 10 of those games to really talk about lots of people going to the hospital. I mean, really, I think we sometimes lose focus and we forget to pan back. You throw in there, as I did in my follow-up tweet, what about onward transmission? What about, spread within the stands, and then you take it home and you infect a young, vulnerable kid at home? Yeah, those are all real concerns, and that's why we want adults to get vaccinated, which then led to, okay, what is the median age 30 to 40-year-old guy who's going to a football game who hasn't gotten vaccinated yet? What is the takeaway for that person? Should we care? Should that person think about getting vaccinated? I think in the face of Delta and in the face of the data from the UK, and 5.7% is not trivial. And if you have like a slightly higher BMI, slightly higher weight, maybe you're not as active as you'd like to be, really is it good odds? I think maybe one dose is worth thinking about to knock back your risk of serious disease quite a bit. And then continue thinking about that second dose, or maybe you want to think about getting exposed to COVID and getting hybrid immunity. There's not a lot of data on one dose followed by natural disease. There's not a lot of data on that. It's really flipped that we're looking at. So natural disease followed by one dose. So those are my thoughts. It's just food for thought for any of your viewers who are in that category who want to live life, want to stop worrying about this stuff and let people like me obsess about it. I think one dose is a decent idea for that young man.
Right. Hey, one of our listeners, I think it was on Monday when Mark Puttenvik and I did a show, she wrote in that she'd had COVID and she was still suffering from, she had terrible balance. She couldn't keep her balance. Like when she would go lean her head back, she would actually fall back. Is that, have you heard of that?
I haven't heard of that, but I've heard a lot of weird things, even in my own self. My teeth are extremely sensitive, and that's something new since COVID. So, I mean, I also know that recall bias is something, and sometimes when there's something new that we would like to blame for weird stuff happening, that's very convenient to do. But I can't rule out that there's a relationship either. Yeah. It's hard to know.
Yeah, makes sense.
But I think also that, for people who had like mild disease and then didn't get vaccinated at all, mild symptoms, kind of like I did, and then not vaccinated at all, one dose provides very good immunity and protection against reinfection. And there's some thought that it might help knock back those weird long COVID symptoms. So again, something to think about.
Yeah. Okay. Something that, and you give me your opinion here. Okay. You give me your opinion on my opinion. So the Notre Dame football coach, they played they're supposed to have a really good team, and they won the weekend, but they didn't play that well. And there was an old coach many years ago that was asked about the execution of his team, how they executed on the field. And he responded many years ago, I'm all for the execution of my team. Like, in other words, he didn't like the way they played. So execution meaning end. It was a joke.
Right.
It's a saying that's been around for years. So Notre Dame coach used that joke. A reporter asked him, what did you think of the execution of your team? And he said, I'm all for the execution. He meant it as a joke. Apparently he's taken a lot of heat for it right now. He's got himself in trouble for saying it. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to sound insensitive, but isn't that like, aren't we getting a little bit like it was a joke and everybody? Yeah,
it's a joke, but it might also be in poor taste, especially if he's saying it, on live camera and, there's, you know what I mean? I just, I don't know. I think we need to be forgiving, but we also need to be cognizant of the world we're living in. And there's a lot of people that, we talk about here in our own family with the situation in Afghanistan. And I mean, you're just so thankful to drive around in your free country. I know you're a patriot, as I am, and just so thankful that I'm not being tracked down by somebody right now. It's just
isn't that true?
Like, unbelievable.
Like even little things, like I remember back when Sandy hit us and I went without power for a week. And I was like, oh, this is just terrible. I mean, a lot of people don't ever have power. They don't have power at all where they live. So.
Yeah. So I think there's a high bar and expectation of people in public spaces, and I certainly try to hold myself to this. And please call me on it if I forget, because it's easy when you're having conversation with somebody to just pop off and say something that could be misconstrued or insensitive. But I think there's a high bar and expectation for people in the public space to model for us reasonable, appropriate, compassionate discourse, and I just think that maybe whereas that comment came from that place.
It is interesting. The coach of the New England Patriots, Bill Belichick, gets accused of just not saying anything in press conferences. And I guess there's a reason why, right? I mean, you're like in the football, they probably joke around in the locker room saying stuff like that to each other.
Yeah.
And the coach just thinks he's just going to go to public and say it. So I see your point. It probably was appropriate way back then when the comment was made, but to use it now with all the stuff that we're living with, I guess that's true.
It's really hard. I mean, in my space too, I don't have all that many followers on Twitter, but I try to think very carefully about, I'm often asked my opinion, and that's really hard because I'm not a doctor. I am a mom, so I can speak from my perspective as a mom of two teenage boys who are athletes, and I can speak from my perspective and my training as an epidemiologist, but opinion is a really tricky thing because really an opinion is a personalized thing. And I feel like it's not just personalized from me because it pertains to my own filters and biases, but it also lands on the person who's asking for my opinion. They have to then interpret it within the context of their own unique situation. And so I just think opinions need to be handed out super carefully.
Yeah. No, you're right.
But then again, there's room for opinion, right? Like we seek our friend's opinion because we look for guidance, right? So
yeah, you're right. But it seems like, and I don't know if there's blame to be passed on here, but once you have an opinion, it's like you alienate a certain segment of your friends, your family, especially when you're talking about politics and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You alienate 50% of the country. So
but I also find it really refreshing when people are willing to say what their opinion is, because I feel like I can interpret it. It's on me to interpret it, and it's on me to seek multiple opinions and form an assessment. So I really find it very refreshing too when people are willing to actually stick their neck out and say something. And I was thinking while I was out running today, if many of the epidemiologists and others who were concerned about sticking their neck out in the public space were to tuck their opinions into an envelope, seal it up, and mark it with a date, a month and a year, and then open it a year later, were they actually right at that moment in time? Yeah. I bet you there's a whole bunch of people who were like, we saw natural immunity being underrated a year ago, and here we are. We're finally getting enough data to support natural immunity being a real thing. Why did it take a year, and why did I have to go through all of this angst and concern about sticking my neck out until it's finally okay to talk about it? That environment is also not okay, So I have really complex feelings about opinion and the public space we're in, where it's just not. It's just a frightening place to be to stick your neck out and go be contrary to the prevailing narrative.
Right. And you've talked about this before too, with opinions and we saw this with Dr. Fauci. He takes a lot of heat from some people, but like you said, this is constantly changing. This was all new stuff. We didn't understand this, and it's constantly changed. It wasn't that he was necessarily, but with the data that he had at the time, I think is how you said it, he gave the correct answer. Now the data changed and it's a different answer. Right. So, yeah.
Yeah, to a degree, but even that I would pick on myself a little bit for that statement, because I do think that there were some things that are not entirely new and some things that we knew
Yeah.
all along. And I think that we could have stuck our neck out a little bit more and been a little bit less, oh, it's so novel and so new, we don't know any of this, because really the truth is the things that we proclaim to not really know and understand, we actually kind of did have enough evidence to be a little bit more certain. I would say in particular about natural immunity. I mean, it's not like the role of the T cell has been virtually unknown. That is certainly not true. And I just think that we've failed to get the right people around the table to have these conversations.
Right. And then there's the politics side of it, right? I mean, nobody wants to make a statement that's going to hurt their political career, or if they're hired by that person, they got to be careful what they say. So, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. It's an interesting environment. So how are your grasshoppers doing? How are the conversations the rest of your week going? And what's on people's mind outside of COVID?
Oh, so that's a great question. Actually, I've got something written down here that touches on that too. And I wrote down 9/11. So I'm going to an event. I'm going to a breakfast on the 9/11, the 20-year anniversary at a firehouse in the city that lost the most firefighters.
Oh, wow.
I'm going down that. So, but it's funny you ask, though, because so we got the pandemic that's been going on, it seems like forever. We've had hurricanes here, Afghanistan, wildfires, floods. Now the 20th anniversary of 9/11. There's a lot of people are just like, oh man, what else is going to go on? It just seems like there's a lot of we've touched on this before, with mental health being such an issue that and again, we've got an event coming up January 23rd in the city, actually to raise money for the Warrior for Life Fund. That's a comedy event down the city, but we're also going to be touching on mental health and how to just try to make it easier for people to come out and talk about their mental health issues. We've had a couple of our followers who've been great, that reached out and we've spoken to them, guys. Guys have gone in the military and the way they're feeling. And I'm very lucky. I know, as you know, I've gotten to know a lot of Navy SEALs, Army guys, Navy, Marines, and I've talked to them after everything happened over in Afghanistan. And there's just a wide range of emotions. Some of them just outright mad, disgusted that they've gone over, they sacrificed so much, sacrificed so much, and now all the stuff that's happened in Afghanistan. I've had other guys though, that a young Navy SEAL that's still in the teams. And he more took the attitude that he said, listen, and he's from New Canaan, and we lost a lot of places, lost a lot of people. But on 9/11, we lost a lot around this area because they're financial services guys working in the city. And he said, listen, we went over there to get revenge. We got revenge. He actually made the comment that he didn't think that country could be fixed, Afghanistan being the country, and that those people couldn't be fixed. And that he viewed it that they went over for revenge, and so he wasn't as bitter at their leaders or decision makers as some of the other guys were. But I just thought that was interesting. So.
Yeah, it's a really interesting perspective for sure.
Yeah. But
I really commend you for going there for these events coming up. That's just wonderful, Tom.
Well, it's thank you first of all, but it's especially anywhere, but when we were here 20 years ago and you saw the buildings crashing and there's really not doing anything, you couldn't do anything. We weren't allowed to go down to the ground zero to help. The police and firefighters were there. So it's just that hopeless feeling for days and for weeks and months all the people that were affected and everything. So they get a chance to go to one of these. My father was a firefighter. We sold a farm and he became a firefighter. So that's near my heart. So I'm actually, part of me is looking forward to going. The other part of it's going to be like the emotions involved in that. It's a 20-year anniversary. And man, it's just unbelievable to think that it's been 20 years since that happened. But
there's a lot of former professional players, right, who become firefighters?
Professional athletes?
Yeah.
Not typically now because finances, they make so much money now. They really don't have to get a job at all. I would have probably been a firefighter if I had not played hockey. So if I'd stayed back home, my father being in the, he became a chief and everything. And I hung out with all those guys. In fact, they really helped a lot, like the toughness. Those are tough men, especially back then, tough old men, sitting around drinking beer and fighting fires. And they were good guys. Yeah.
Yeah, I was asking, I don't know if you know Matt Jones, but he's a fabulous hockey coach, and he's been doing the Matt Jones camp here down in Iceland. And his wife is just wonderful. I love her. She's such a reasonable and level-headed and funny person. So I've really enjoyed getting to know them a bit. And he was talking about some of the risk factors for fires, which I always appreciate. I like to be aware of risk factors in my line of business. And that curiosity extends to anything, including house fires. And he was saying cooking is the biggest risk, and leaving the stove on. So
Yeah.
as people get back to school and in a hurry, don't forget to turn your stove off.
Yeah, there's an old TV show on many years ago when I was a kid. I think it was called Emergency, and it was about firefighters going to fires. And my dad would always sit there and analyze, like, oh, there's not enough smoke there. There's more smoke than there's. I remember as a kid, yeah, it was funny. He loved being a firefighter. They had games like competitions, tug of war competitions. What else? Horseshoes was a big one. Ping pong was another big one. And the firehouses would play against each other. They'd go to these big events, especially the tug of war, and then tractor pulls and the whole bit. And all the firefighters from all like hundreds of miles away all go to this thing. And it was a blast.
Oh, that's awesome! I love it.
Yeah,
I got a huge rope for my. What's that?
No, Tim White, one of our followers. That's right. Emergency 51 was the name of the show. Thanks, Tim. Good job. Good job. Yeah.
That's great. That sounds like a good like March idea for you next, to get a couple people into some of those games.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Actually, I have to pump this up more. October 3rd, I'm putting a team together. So again, talking about my father, he had dementia when he passed away. And there's in Westchester County, the county next to me here, they're having an Alzheimer's walk to raise money. So we put together Team Grasshoppers. So you can go to my Facebook. If you go to my Facebook page, anybody we want to donate as much money or raise as much money as we can, get as many people walking. The goal was to raise $10,000. We're at $2,000 right now.
Okay.
And we again, I might have been a litlittle bit aggressive here, thinking I was going to get 100 people on Team Grasshoppers at the walk. And that's our goal, but it's because of the pandemic now, it's made it a little tougher. There's a lot more restrictions on stuff and everything too. So.
Well, it's a walk outside, right?
Yeah, so walk outside October 3rd. Westchester County. I can't remember. We had to change the location of it.
But how far is it? Like, how long are you walking?
And it's you have your choice. In fact, you really don't even have to walk. It's more of a gathering. We've done this. The Rangers did it with I think it was Northwell Health. They did the same kind of thing. Some other charity. Can't remember well, and they had a really big event, really promoted it well. But it's in Westchester County. It's on my. I just reposted on my page today on Facebook, so you can see it there.
Okay, I think you can get 100 people, Tom. I mean, who doesn't want to walk with Tom?
Exactly. That's my point. Right? Yes. Exactly. Yes.
I'm surprised you're not overrun. People are just they're just holding out to just kind of see what the weather is going to be like. But that sounds like a fabulous event, and there's no safer activity really that you could do with a buddy than going walking right now. And 150 minutes a week is protective against severe COVID. So I say get out there, get walking.
Yeah, they call me I'm going to be the voice of God. They're calling me too. So they have a big stage there and they have to make announcements. So I'm the guy. I'm the MC for the event. So it's funny. This woman that runs, a fantastic woman, Esther McCarthy, and she first called me. First time she says, "You're going to be the voice of God." I'm like, well, okay.
Can you not walk and like have like a Bluetooth speaker and like be voice of God from the whole thing as you're walking?
Maybe I can. That may work. Yeah, I would really want to get on.
Because God is omnipresent. He's everywhere, right? So really, Tom needs to be everywhere.
And I think I'm God anyway. So yeah, it's just the way it is. It was funny. It was in my gym got flooded at the big floods that we had last week, and
wow.
it was a mess. I was actually the first one in the next day. I got in there at 4:30. The place was soaked, and then one of the rooms. Yeah, one of the rooms had carpet in it. The rest of the rooms had those rubber pads.
Yeah.
So because of the holiday weekend, they really weren't able to get in there and clean it, and it started to smell terrible. So I showed up yesterday morning. They had a sign on the door saying, due to the mold and smell, we advise that you do not use the gym. So what do you think I did?
Probably opened the doors, turned a fan on, and used the gym.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of lucky because I still don't actually have my bad sense of smell back. I can only smell good things. I still can't smell bad things, and it's about 10 months in. So I still can't smell hockey gear.
Oh, Tom Godlaw. Tom Godlaw. There you go. Nice. We like that, Tim. We like that. Tim's battling some health issues too, aren't you, Tim? Yeah. You're doing better. So you can't smell bad things?
Nope.
So as a young boy, as your sons, that probably is very disappointing to them because when they pass gas, you can't smell.
Yeah, it really doesn't affect me. I don't know if your viewers want to know this, but one of their major threats, especially the older one, is to come up to me and go like this with, get in my face. It really doesn't bother me at all.
Oh, my youngest son, Cody, he's going to kill me. But when he was smaller, he's 28 now. He would get berserk if he was eating in a room and I would pass gas. He would that was unacceptable. He had this theory, and I guess it's true that the actual fecal matter is traveling through the air when you pass gas. So that's,
Well, I mean, I think he's probably onto something there.
I actually think he's right, but I don't think it was really gonna like affect him. But that's became kind of funny. So of course, the fact that
So is he a supporter of wearing masks then around
he
you?
was before that.
Especially while you're eating?
Yes. He actually was, in all seriousness, he was a little bit of a germaphobe prior to the pandemic. He would get on, when he'd go on a plane, he would have the mask on already. He would have the seat cover, wipe it down. Yeah. This is before the pandemic hit and everything too. So I think that's how he just looked at it with any flu, something like the plane. But that's not totally accurate. Isn't a plane kind of a safe place to be because you're constantly circulating the air? As far as
I don't think it's. I think that the forthcoming data, during the course of the pandemic, has shown that it can be really pretty safe because of that circulation of air. But doesn't mean that if you're sitting next to somebody and they're sneezing and you're all eating at the same. So I think that there's still things you can do to reduce your risk. But it's really pretty safe. Again, the masks are, my big beef with the mask is that we keep saying that they're, one of the most important layers of protection, and we keep arguing about it as if it were so critically important, and the data just does not support that the flimsy cloth mask we are, slapping on people is really that effective. A double layered, tightly snug fitting surgical mask plus cloth mask, maybe. So for anybody listening who actually is really concerned about preventing COVID in an indoor space, they can't avoid an indoor space and it's crowded and there's going to be conversation, you really can't focus on the typical cloth mask. You've got to get a surgical mask and layer it over with a cloth mask.
He's one of our good friends. I figured that's what a stage 4 cancer diagnosis, January 22nd, 2020. Wow. All cleared as of January 12th. Yeah, we like that.
That is amazing. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that news, Tim.
Yeah, he's a good man too. He's quite a hockey player, I think, too, and he is always very positive, even though he's gone through all this stuff. Good
wow! Man. If you ever come to Virginia Beach, please, I'm at the rink 4 nights a week plus weekends. Please seek me out. I want to say hi and give you a hug if you're good with that.
Yeah, good. And he was complaining. I think Tim was complaining the other day. He's got a little bit too much of a belly going on. I don't think that's true, but it's like all right. So again, just to be sure, everybody, we're going to go big time push on October 3rd. Again, it's posted on my Facebook where the location is. But we want to raise as much money as possible for this great cause. Have you ever did we talk about this year? Had a family member with dementia or Alzheimer's?
Not that I can think of.
Right.
I'll have to ask my mom.
Yeah. My father, he really active man. He passed away. He was like 83 years old, like 8 years ago. And he got, I don't know, it's really hard to tell when you finally get, like, it's just like he gradually got worse and worse. And then he got to the point near the end there where he was, people, relatives of people with Alzheimer's often say this, that he really didn't seem to suffer too much. He was so far out of it that he just was, you could tell he just wasn't aware of what was going on. I think it's worse on, I think it's worse on the loved ones, the family members, because they watched my father's case, this big active man, farmer, firefighter, and now just really couldn't do anything, so that was, but again, the comfort was, I think, that he really didn't seem to be in any pain and really wasn't even aware of what was going on around him. So,
yeah, you're right. That is a real challenge.
Yeah,
I really feel for the family there. And I did some research for a colleague of mine who was working on that. And actually, I was in Japan at the time, and it's really interesting that how they are trying to make sure that people don't just wander off and, get into accidents and things like that. And the burden on the caregivers to try to make sure that they stay safe, and also trying to, while caregivers are holding down a job and things too. It's really a challenge for the whole family.
And again, I want to be very careful when I say this. I'm not suggesting that the stuff I'm going to say was going to cure Alzheimer's, but that's part of the reason. I've had multiple concussions. My father had dementia. And I just really believe in being healthy. Like the fasting is so important, intermittent fasting, because that regenerates the cells in your brain and your body, all the healthy food you eat, exercise. And again, I'm not trying to suggest that's going to stop Alzheimer's from happening, but to me, that's part of another reason why we could be more healthy in our regular.
Well, yeah, and Tom, it's unfortunate. Like lots of things, it seems like do affect men a little bit more, and I don't know that we understand exactly why. Obviously, there's hormonal difference in things, but I was just reading a paper that was looking at antibody levels in men versus women over time, and leaner men had a higher antibody level sustained over time compared to men with more adipose fat tissue. So, and that was different for women. It didn't seem to have as much as a relationship for women. So I just, I just wanted to support everything you're saying about health, being health conscious, doing everything we can to keep moving. And, fasting does seem to help a lot of people manage their weight. Allows you to still enjoy a meal without, thinking as much about calories, maybe because you're organizing your eating habits, and you tend, if you feel like it's okay to get full, then, right, Tom, you can get full, you can eat to satiate, to the point of being satisfied, and then plan on the fasting later.
And the good thing too is while you're fasting, that hour, once you get past the first 12 hours, anything after that, you're also burning off body fat as well. So you can still lose body fat and really eat the same number of calories that you would have eaten in a regular diet, or, just eating, regular get up and have breakfast. So that, to me, it's just, I don't know. I just think there's so many benefits to it. And I just think that's the way our bodies were naturally, meant to be. That's how we were many years ago, before refrigerators, grocery stores, and restaurants. We ate for nourishment, and then when you had food, maybe a day later or 2 days later, you ate again. So,
and I know you're about to eat right after a fast, as am I. I haven't had anything yet, and I've gone running a really fast run. So it's amazing, actually, we're stringing together sentences right now.
But I hear you, and I know that's the perception people have, that you're going to lose. But your body's burning your stored fat. In your case, you don't have a whole lot of stored fat, but that's.
I do.
No, it's. In fact, I like to try to schedule things around noon so I can push it past noon. The longer you're fasting, the more good things you're doing to your body. And again, while you're busy doing things, you just don't notice as much too. And it is working out while you're fasting, while you get in that state of autophagy, makes it even better, I think. So it gets more results, builds more human growth hormone. I think it's all around good for you.
I do run better. Sometimes I boost my blood sugar with just like a bite of yogurt or something, just because sometimes my brain needs a little bit of something, but I do generally run better.
Oh no, Barry Shelley is such a smart man. Oh, whoops, sorry. Allie would have loved the steak.
That's true.
Oh, I cooked the steak. So it's Labor Day weekend. I figured I've got a grill. I hardly ever eat red meat, so I got a nice steak from Costco. Made up some homemade hash browns and some sautéed mushrooms. Oh, put a little.
Oh, did you? Very good. I haven't been on Instagram recently, so I haven't seen your delicious dinner, but I will check that out. Yes, I would have loved that.
And I'm not much of a butter user now, but I even put a pat of butter on the steak, and it just melted over top of the steak and everything. Oh, my Lord.
Okay, so I have one closing question for you, and then I'll let you go eat, Tom. So if you have a young, very strong teenage boy and he's lifting weights, do you have any? Everyone talks about hernias, and they all remember this time when they got a hernia when they were lifting when they were younger. Do you have insights on prevention? Is it all proper form? I mean, boys really want to go for max, deadlift and, single-handed press. Like, how do you avoid getting hurt?
Well, first of all, technique is going to be the first thing. Knowing what you're doing, warming up properly. And I was the same way too, especially like the bench press or the deadlift or squats. You just want to lift as many weights as possible. And that's okay to do that, but you've got to work up to it. You just can't all of a sudden jump in. Who are we talking about? Is Ben working out?
No, 16-year-old.
16-year-old.
Yeah.
That is a tricky age. I mean, they do say you don't want to start lifting weights too early, but 16 should be okay. But really, it's the knowledge about listen, I think I've said this to you. It wasn't until the last probably 5 years that I really learned a lot more about my body, about my diet, and how to work out properly, working your core. So important for everybody to work the core. Like, really, again, I did it the wrong way. I wanted to build a big chest and arms and biceps. You should start on the inside and then work your way out. So build your core, do a lot of exercises on the balance board, Bosu ball, a lot of sit-ups, a lot of stomach work. And then really, and again, like the bench press is one of those things that I was the same way, and all kids are. They want to get on the bench, they want to bench press. It could be one of the worst exercises for your shoulder as far as working out, because it puts a lot of stress on your shoulders in that way. But guys are going to do it again. It's work again. Get your technique properly down properly. It's the good balance with your feet. Good grip on the bar, the wide grip, and all that. So, but there's so many great videos out there now that you can look at on YouTube or whatever to show how to do the exercises properly. So, to me, that's the biggest thing.
Okay, technique and being smart. Sam showed me how to do a deadlift yesterday.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so he seems to really know what he's doing, and there's good people at the gym. I'm really impressed. The local community center actually has some really good people there. So
that's a sign of a good gym. You know, a good gym. Like sometimes trainers, they only get paid. Well, they get paid a small salary, but they only get paid when they're training a client. They get paid for that. But the good gyms really have people wandering around. If they see somebody that's not doing something properly, just give them a little pointer or whatever. Especially with kids too. Kids and people just haven't worked out in general. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Tom. I appreciate it.
Technique. All right. Okay, one more time, guys. This is Allie Krug. She's got ABC Medical Writing. It's her company. She can do it all. Fantastic mother, wife. What do you call it? What's the thing you axe and everything? Lumberjack.
Lumberjack. Yeah. It's getting to be that season again. More wood splitting.
Oh, yes. That's right. You can only split the wood. Well, you can't. It's better to split the wood when it's cold, right? It splits easier when it's cold.
Yeah. I'll split it anytime. Doesn't really get that cold here.
Oh, that's right, too. You're Virginia Beach, yeah. All right, everybody. Allie, great to see you again. We'll see everybody next week.
Thank you, everybody. See ya.